Hi, I'm Shane Howard, the anxiety specialist, and today's video we're going to talk about the one thing that changed everything for me. So when I first started kind of doing this kind of work, this change work, I at the time I had kind of just found out that I had even experienced anxiety. I didn't even know what anxiety was. I was learning. I was trying to read every single book I could find about anxiety, and at the time, one of my friends he was studying psychotherapy and hypnotherapy, and he'd come round and he was playing. We were just kind of like, he was doing some sort of hypnotherapy with me, and I could feel my state change. I could feel my body start to feel relaxed and a bit calmer. So I knew there was something to this. So this led me down to kind of studying hypnotherapy myself, NLP, these other courses. I met some other people, and being in that kind of area, of that change area, I started understanding and learning what was the most effective methods and different techniques. This led me to studying loads of different kind of techniques and loads of different therapies that were used or for anxiety. This enabled me to kind of build up my skill set. I worked on a lot of my own stuff and it did work to some degree. I even started working with some clients. What I noticed when I was working with these anxiety clients is that they would be saying certain things and I'm going, oh, I do that thing, and I realized that my problem, the issues that I was facing, but that my clients were facing, that also things that I recognized in myself. So I knew there had to be, a deeper level of work that needed to be done. Now this all changed when I started understanding trauma. And I started studying the more trauma focused or trauma informed approaches and the kind of bottom up psychosensory approach. But the number one thing that changed everything is understanding the nervous system. So when we understand just physiologically what is happening when we experience anxiety, is an overactivation of our sympathetic nervous system. So we have the sympathetic nervous system, which is kind of like the stress or the doing system. And we have the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest digest system. So when we're feeling kind of overwhelmed, above our capacity to cope, we're typically, we're all guns blazing, our nervous system's firing in all cylinders. That's when we're kind of experiencing anxiety, because it's typically only meant to be used in small moments. Say for example, on thousands of years ago, it would only be used when, say for example, there would be a saber-toothed tiger come out and we'd go into our fight or flight response, our nervous system would be fully charged up, and that huge amount of stress, that cortisol, that adrenaline is going to power us to kind of either fight the thing or move away from it. Now in today's world, we're just stressed constantly, all day long. We've just got so much stress, and as much as everyone would love to, you can't really, kill your boss or fight your boss whenever he kind of stresses you out, and you can't run away from your job either. So we're feeling and experiencing a lot more stress. And not only that, it's not just your stress system, but it's also your doing system. So when you're kind of doing system, when you're doing things, when you're active, when you're thinking, even thinking is sympathetic activation. So understanding that anxiety is when our nervous system is feeling overwhelmed, or it's an overactivity in our nervous system, allowed me to understand how to approach anxiety. And this led me to, these bottom-up approaches where you first have to learn to understand how to regulate your nervous system. So noticing and observing when you're feeling activated, and then when you're feeling a bit, either dysregulated or even a bit shut down. These are all kind of things that are very, very important to understand if you are someone experiencing anxiety. When you know how to notice when you're starting to get activated, or you notice your nervous system start to feel a bit dysregulated, and you have the tools to how to regulate the nervous system, you can regulate it in minutes. Now there are methods out there and techniques out there, if you use that bottom-up, that somatic approach, that can literally calm down your nervous system in minutes. I don't know if you purchased it, but my anxiety stopper and panic attack stopper mini course would have my best and my favorite way to regulate your nervous system and self-soothe. If you haven't purchased this for £9, I would definitely recommend looking into it, because it's the number one skill that you need to learn if you experience anxiety. So it's just learning how to switch out from that fight or flight system, that sympathetic activation, back into the parasympathetic activation. We need to feel connected to ourselves. We need to go into that rest mode. And so imagine that imagine this sympathetic activation is only meant to be used in short bursts. It's not a bad thing, the stress system, but we need to have balance. We need to learn how to go into our rest system so our sympathetic nervous system can recover, so we can use both of them. So otherwise, imagine your sympathetic nervous system is like my left arm, and my parasympathetic nervous system, my rest system is like my right arm. Now imagine my left arm's just in the gym, it's just exercising, I'm just in sympathetic activation all day, and I'm just eventually it'd be knackered. It'd be so weak and so lack of resilience because it wouldn't have any sort of strength anymore. I wouldn't feel able to cope with life. I wouldn't feel able to cope with my usual stresses. It's because I'm so knackered with that muscle. I need to start using the right side instead. And using that right side, what I'm also going to be able to do is strengthen the rest side up. So a lot of people experiencing anxiety don't even know how to rest. I have to teach a lot of my clients to actually learn to relax and learn to actually kind of rest. And when we kind of get that parasympathetic nervous system, we strengthen it, it allows the sympathetic nervous system to recover, and we can have that back and forth play. We want to be able to kind of bounce between our nervous systems and be able to regulate and be very smooth and fluid, just like a cat. So you may notice when a cat could be sort of like super chilled and relaxed, and you may be stroking its belly, and it will go straight into kind of fight mode, and then 2 seconds later we go back into relax mode. We need to be like this. Versus many of my clients, when they first come to see me, they are, they may have been triggered or they have been activated in a sympathetic activation, and they may have been in there for like, weeks, months, within years, where they're stuck in that survival system, they're stuck in that fight or flight, and they've not learned how to regulate the nervous system and return back to that sense of connection, that joy, that peace. Now this is because when we experience these things that don't get regulated and they don't get resolved, our nervous system doesn't complete the cycle. So that energetic charge is still existing within the body. Again, this is why we need to take that bottom-up somatic approach to anxiety rather than a top-down thing, because it's not an understanding up here that changes it, it's a nervous system response. So we have to learn how to regulate the nervous system. So hopefully this has helped you understand anxiety a little bit better. If you do want to understand this a little bit further, the Anxiety Foundation course would be what I recommend. This goes into all of this information on a lot deeper level and helps you to understand anxiety and then feel more at peace with yourself. The Anxiety Foundation course also comes with my top 10 ways to regulate your nervous system. So if you look into that, or at the very least get the Anxiety Stop Up for £9. It'd be the best money you could possibly spend.